Easy $10,000 a month in the car game. Make $10,000 or more a month flipping cars, renting cars, or both, utilizing Copart, Turo, Carvana, Shift, Vroom, AutoNation, or own your rental business. Written by Genaro Patterson. Narrated by Araceli Gote. The best game in town. When I first got in the car game, I was incarcerated. I was in search of a good business to invest in that would fit under my investment system. When you are incarcerated, you don't always have the support you might need. Plus, most people probably have turned their back on you because you made bad decisions and chose to commit crimes instead of doing what's right. Therefore, you are lucky if you have one person in your corner, which doesn't mean that they will still have time to do things for you when they have their own life to live. This caused me to create an investment system. The system includes: Number 1, you must record your investment within 4 to 8 months. Number 2, no employees, possibly one, but I will hire companies to do what's needed to accomplish the goal. Number 3, once it's purchased or the investment is made, the business must run on automatic until I decide to sell. Number 4, very little or no overhead. I was forced to create the system in order to run these businesses from incarceration without too much outside help. I invested in ATM machines, finding locations and paying a company to install it, change receipt paper, and refill it with cash. Finding locations was the hard part. I wrote books and self-published them on Amazon. I paid a company to create a social media to help market them. I invested in a diesel truck trailer, which I ended up renting out for $2,500 a month. It was a good business for 4 months until I realized I couldn't insure just the trailer. I started seeing trucks crash and I got concerned. I knew I couldn't afford to take a loss of that magnitude. The trucks had cost me $20,000 to purchase. I missed the income and I searched for something safer I could invest in. This is how I chose to invest in cars. I signed up with Copart, a company who sells wrecked and damaged vehicles. They have hundreds of thousands of cars in which you can bid on. They are a giant auction. My first vehicle I bidded on was a 2019 Dodge Challenger Scat Pack. I won the bid of $22,000 for the car, plus $2,500 in fees. The car was purchased for $29,500, which was damaged in the front. I paid $600 for a tow truck to pick it up and deliver it to a body and fender shop to be fixed. The body and fender shop charged me $6,000 to fix it, and I paid them. After it was done, I sold the car for $39,000. I made a profit of $7,900 in 2 months. At that moment, I realized the car game was the best game in town, and what I really liked was it was safe. No one never drove it. I didn't register it, and I didn't insure it. That was my introduction to the car game, and it's been my biggest moneymaker. Now, I flip cars and I rent them. Throughout this book, I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. Because if I can do it, you can do it too. First things first, get your mind right. The man or woman who is outwardly poor, yet rich in virtue, is truly rich, and in the midst of all his poverty, she is surely traveling toward prosperity, and abounding joy and bliss await his or her coming. James Allen. Mindset. In order to be a success in any type of game plan, you must get your mind right. It is the ultimate secret of turning your dreams into a reality. If your mind is not programmed to believe, then it will be programmed to doubt. When you have doubt, you also have fear, and neither one will accomplish nothing. You can't be afraid to take chances in life. Chances make champions. If you want to become a winner in life, you have to be in the game. The saying is real. You can't win if you don't play. Your mind is the master. If you don't learn how to master it, it will not give you the tools to prosper. Misfortune, sorrow, and sadness is implemented in those who do not learn that mind is master. Unrest and pain and sorrow are the shadows of life. There is no heart within the world that has not felt the sting of pain. There is no human that has not experienced failure. When you first tried to walk and you fell down repeatedly, the secret was your mind told you to get back up and try again. As a child, we are more fearless. We're not afraid of failure. We have no doubt. We know that when we want something, we just have to go get it. Reach out for it or cry and it will soon be in our possession. We have to get that same mindset back. We have to become fearless again. And we cannot be afraid to take a chance to advance. The child cries to be a man or woman. The man and woman sigh for the loss of felicity of childhood. The poor chafes under the chains of poverty by which he is bound, and the rich man often lives in fear of becoming poor. There is fear in all of us, but we have to learn how to fight it and eradicate it. From the most terminal word or act of man-woman, up to the groupings of the celestial bodies, law reigns supreme. No arbitrary condition can, even for 1 minute, exist. For such a condition would be a denial and an annihilation of the law. Once you believe in this supreme law, you will gain the confidence needed to overcome all obstacles. Every condition of life is, therefore, bound up in an orderly and harmonious sequence. This is true if you are poor, if you are paralyzed, if you are incarcerated, if you are in debt, and the secret and cause of every condition is contained within itself. You must understand that whatsoever a man, woman sows in their heart, they shall also reap, is inscribed in flaming letters upon the portal of eternity, and none can deny it. No one can cheat it, and no one can stop it. No one except yourself if you choose not to believe in you. If you are the person who blames others for your condition, you are in doubt of the situation. You are in doubt of the situation and who you are. If you are a complainer, this means you lack that faith which is the ground of all effort and progress. Complaining accomplishes nothing. Why complain? It will not change anything. You have to step up and change your situation. There is no room for a complaint in the universe of making your tomorrows better than your yesterdays. And worry is the path to suicide. Why waste time worrying when worrying is a waste of time? Again, it accomplishes nothing. You believe you are chained by circumstances. You cry out for better opportunities, for a wider scope, for improved physical conditions, but you fail to change your mindset. The circumstances you are born in does not define you. The situation you are in does not define you. We all have made mistakes. We all have taken a wrong turn that set us in the wrong direction of our life. The question is, when will we admit to our own faults and make the change to correct our mistakes and act on better decisions? Our thinking is the way out of undesirable conditions. Before you complain that you are a slave to your condition, make sure you have not become a slave to yourself. Look within, look searchingly, and have no mercy upon yourself. You will find there perchance slavish thoughts, slavish desires, and in your daily life and conduct, slavish habits. Habits that prevent you from becoming a success. It is imperative that you figure out how to conquer this. Cease to be a slave to yourself, to bad habits, to drugs, to failure, to weakness, to doubt, to fear, to the lack of confidence, and no man or woman will have the power to enslave you. As you overcome self, you will overcome all adverse conditions, and every difficulty will fall before you. When you change your mindset, you are 99% there to accomplishing your goals and changing the way you live your life. Your mind is the ultimate key to your success. As a man, woman thinketh, so he or she will become. Second thing you must know. Master the investment game. Create a system that allows a guarantee of limited chance of loss. Genaro, Patterson. Investment Game Plan. Because of my incarceration, I was forced to come up with an investment system that guaranteed a limited chance of loss. I was eager to win. I had set a goal while incarcerated to make $200,000 to $300,000 while locked up. I hadn't met anyone in jail who had done it, and yet I wanted to be the one who could make it happen. Of course, I lived in undesirable conditions with limited resources, but it all goes back to mindset. I programmed my mind to believe it was possible. I told myself that no fence, no guard tower, and no walls would stop me from creating an income. I learned to believe that anything was possible. I have changed my way of thinking. I decided that if Jeff Bezos could be in one building and sell to people all over the world, then how come I couldn't be on my bunk and sell to people outside the prison? Once I realized my books were selling in LA, Washington, DC, Kansas City, Miami, Florida, China, Japan, Denver, Colorado, New York, etc., I realized I had proved to myself that I could do it. This gave me a lot of confidence, and as my income grew, so did the things I wanted to invest in. Trust has always been an issue growing up in poverty, and to be incarcerated made it even worse. But again, I had to eradicate the fear, the doubt, and I had to take a chance. Remember, chances make champions. Therefore, I couldn't be afraid if I wanted to accomplish my goal. I wasn't in prison counting the years. I had reached a point where I was counting the checks. I wasn't like other inmates who got excited that I had got down to only having a year left. I was telling myself I'm running out of time. If I'm going to accomplish my goal, I need to make more money. It was my goal to come home with 200 or 300,000 strong, and I only had 70,000. I felt I was losing the battle. Therefore, I started thinking of other ways to make money, which meant I had to invest in other ideas, which I eventually did. Number 1, I invested in ATM machines. Number 2, I invested in hair and wigs. Number 3, I invested in a diesel truck and trailer. Number 4, I invested in sex sounds. Number 5, I invested in music. Number 6, I invested in books. Number 7, I invested in cars. Number 8, I invested in a car racer simulator. I didn't believe I would get rich doing any of these things, and I didn't set out to think that I would. My mindset was, as long as I make a profit and create an income, I would be happy with that. My concept was to create multiple income. I believe would elevate my financial status, and in order to do that, I had to invest. My investment system. The investment system is extremely important. It will limit your chances of losing your money. Although I mentioned the system earlier in the book, it was only brief, and the importance of investing is so important that I had to dedicate a whole topic to this matter. No matter your situation, there is always a bright side, and although I was incarcerated with very little resources, it forced me to figure out the perfect investment system. Recoup your money in 4 to 8 months. I felt that if you are going to invest your money, you should be able to recoup your investment back within 4 to 8 months. If not, then it's not a good investment. This is a rule of my investment system. It's a rule that I never break, unless I believe if it takes 10 months and I like the investment, I will sometimes break my rule. But overall, this is one of my rules, and it's a rule you should follow. Example. When I invested in my books, the cost would fluctuate from $400 to $1,500, depending on who I was doing business with and how much knowledge I had at the time. Knowledge is important. Once you know your business and craft, you will learn how to save money. Let's say the book cost me $800 to write, edit, make the cover, and publish. If I had made $100 a month for 8 months, I would have recouped my investment. Anything after that is a profit. But, of course, if I want to make more money off my book, I will need to invest in marketing. If I spent $5,000 on marketing and I made $800 a month, I would make my money back in 6 months. This is a good investment. Example: I invested in an ATM machine. The cost was $2,200 for the machine and installation. Although I had to find the location since I was incarcerated, I had to pay someone to manage the machine. This is an overhead or an employee or hiring another company. Therefore, although I made my surcharge at $2.50 for each transaction, I had to give up $1 for each transaction to an employee, liquor store owner, shop owner, or a managing company. I always calculate my success at the lowest numbers. Therefore, if I made only 6 transactions a day, it would add up to 180 transactions a month, a total of $450 a month. But I would have to give $180 to the managing company, which would equal only $270 a month for myself. Still, even at this low number of sales and paying a company to manage the machine, in 8 months, I would make $2,160. I would be $40 from recouping my investment. For me, that's a good investment because every month after that is all profit. Example: with cars, it's a little different, but it's the same system. With cars, I would invest $11,000 to $15,000 a car. I would purchase it wrecked at around $11,000. Although it would be valued at $30,000, it would cost from $3,000 to $6,000 to fix, which would cost $14,000 to $17,000. The car will likely have a salvageable title, which would lower the value of the car. Therefore, once it was fixed, I would sell it for around $24,000, $6,000 cheaper than the blue book of the car. If my investment was $17,000 and I sold it for $24,000, I made a profit of $7,000 in 2 to 3 months. I didn't utilize any employees. I hired a tow truck. I paid a shop to fix it, and I posted it on Craigslist and other sites that sell items such as OfferUp, etc. The point is, I was able to recoup my investment and make a profit within 2 to 3 months, sometimes 4 months. I would be upset if a shop took 3 to 4 months to fix my car because time is money. But even if I sold the car in 5 months and made a $6,000 profit, it was still a $1,200 profit a month. Example: when I purchased a simulator, my investment was $2,200 for the simulator and $2,000 for the trailer in which I bolted the simulator inside, and paid another $1,500 for advertising on the outside of the enclosed trailer, a total of $4,700. I rented the simulator for $60 an hour with the hopes of renting it out 48 hours a month, mainly on weekends. This would give me a total of $2,880 a month. I would give my employee, who would deliver, pick up, clean, and store, $10 off each hour, which meant I would make $2,400 a month and my employee would make $480 a month. This would be his role in my business, which could hopefully rent out more than 48 hours a month. The goal was to rent it out for 60 hours a month. I would recoup my investment in the first 2 months. For sure, it would be within 2 to 3 months. I pointed out 3 examples of my investments. You see, they all stayed within the investment plan. If you have a solid investment plan with limited losses, it's very hard to lose. No employees, possibly one, utilize other companies by me being incarcerated. It was hard to employ anyone. Most people had their own life to live, and I would just end up being a burden to them, which was something I refused to be. It irked me to be viewed as a burden. If people don't answer on the first call, I would likely not call them back. I realized early in the game, if you wanted someone to assist you in your business affairs, you needed to pay them. And when that didn't work like I wanted it to, I realized it was better to pay companies who were professionals in that field. They would perform at their highest level because they wanted good ratings. They didn't care if I was incarcerated. They didn't judge as long as I paid the cost of their service. I was allowed to even put money on their phones so they could accept my calls from prison. This made it easier to do business. When I chose to utilize other businesses, it took away the choice of using a family member as an employee, or someone I hired who would not take the job seriously, or a friend who I hoped would do the job. Example: when it came to investing in cars, I would have my son or daughter go on Copart. Of course, after I paid $600 to set it up, paid for a temporary seller's permit and a business license. I also had set up an LLC, limited liability company, which would represent me as a businessman. I called it Genaro Enterprise LLC. I would tell them my bid on the car, which would likely be higher than the rest. During the auction, I would let them continue to bid. It would last 2 to 3 hours. I would call back 4 to 5 hours later to see if I won. If I did, I would pay the cost and the fees. Any car under $15,000, the fee would be $1,050 plus $300 in other fees. Over $15,000 would be 12% of the cost and around $300 in other fees. I would pay by having a cash app set up, a credit card, or by putting someone I trusted in charge of around $20,000. Once it was all paid for and ready to pick up, I would hire a tow truck from a legitimate tow truck company. I had to make sure they were legit in case of an accident. I couldn't afford to lose my investment. The tow truck would tow the car to the chosen body shop. I had a few that I did business with. Once the price was decided for parts and labor, I would receive the invoice and I would send the money and a deposit on the labor cost. Once it was done, I would pay the balance and tow the car to a safe location. I would then either sell it to CarMax, Carvana, AutoNation, Vroom, or to a private buyer. For this, I would not use an employee, only other companies who would do what they were hired to do. Example. When I invested in the wigs, I invested in my niece who had her own hair shop where she did hair. I asked her, did she have wigs in the shop, and she said no. She said when customers wanted a wig or weave, she would send them to another hair shop. I asked her, would she like an investor? She said there's room for an investor. I started out by giving her $2,500 to purchase wigs and hair for her shop. As each one sold, which they sold for almost double the investment, she would send the money to my Cash App. I had no employee. I didn't hire any other companies. It was simple. I would invest $2,500 and I would make $5,000. It would usually take around 60 days. That's $2,500 a month, give or take a week or two. Even if it took 3 months, I made $1,600 a month. Example. When it came to my books, I had no employees. Everyone I did business with was a company. The editor had her own company. The book cover was made by a company. The format of paperback and ebook was created by the editing company. My favorite editing company is Jane Eachwald, Ambler Document Processing, P.O. Box 938, Norwalk, Connecticut 06852. Once the book was complete, I would have it uploaded to Amazon. From there, I would pay for promotion. I would get free promotions from Amazon. I would pay for promotion at BookBub, New in Books, Book Gorilla, and Bargain Books. These are all different promotional companies. I would hire a company to manage my Facebook and website. I had no employees. I would make sales and I would have the same company who managed my Facebook and website upload my books and monitor my sales. I would receive printouts through JPay in prison. A lot of my receipts, invoices, and photos would come through JPay. It's how I kept and organized my files. Automatic machine. I call a machine when I have figured out how to put together an investment that will make me an income every month, month after month, on automatic after it has been created. When I can create an income like this with no employee and it works continuously, I call it a machine. The machine is very important to the investment system. If the machine does not exist, it is not a good investment. Once it becomes a machine, it becomes a system that works on automatic. When you create an income that becomes automatic, it's a beautiful feeling. It means you have created a business that doesn't require your presence. These investments I have made are invisible to me. All I see are invoices, receipts, photos of what I've bought, the location or business, etc., but I have never seen any of it. How can I when I'm incarcerated? I have no computer. I have no phone. I do this from the uncomfortable place of my bunk. My bunk is my office. I don't even have my own cell. That would be a better office, but it's okay, the bunk works just fine. Why? Because I've programmed my mind to block everyone out. I say this to enlighten you as to why I was forced to create this investment system. If not, it wouldn't have worked. I can't be where my ATM machines are located. I can't see my car online and buy it. Once I own it, I've never seen it. I don't know how the car smells. I don't know how the screen looks. I don't know how fast it is. Why? Because I'm incarcerated. They won't let me be there. But under these circumstances, I created income without ever having to be there. This means if you did this, you could spend more time with your children and family. You will be more relaxed, less stressed out. You can't let your job consume you, and you shouldn't allow your business to consume you. Since I can't be there, I need to create a business that works on automatic, day after day, month after month, year after year. That's what I call the machine. Example. In the car game, I've created a machine. I created an investment that allows me to get on the phone, monitored by the institution. Every second is recorded. This means if I said or plotted anything illegal, I would be in trouble. Therefore, I must do everything within the law. I give my son the bid of the type of car, the year, the model, and what damages I am looking for. I will have photos of the car sent to the auto body shop for an estimate on how much it could cost to repair, or I might have someone at the auction go look at the car for a more detailed estimate. I will make the bid. If the car is worth $20,000, then I know I can't spend no more than $12,000, including the repairs. This means I would make a bid for $7,000. I figure if I get the car for $7,000, I'll have room to fix it for $5,000, and I'll sell it for $16,000. When I win the bid, I'll pay for the cost and call the tow truck company. I will have the car towed to the auto body shop. It will remain there until it is fixed. For a fast return on my profit, I will sell the car to Carvana, CarMax, AutoNation, or Vroom. To get a better profit, I would post the car online. It would take longer, but I would likely make an extra 1,000 or 2, maybe even 3. But when the parts of the investment plan work like that without my presence, I call it a machine. This is not an automatic system, but it can be repeated over and over again. Example. The ATM business is a business of mine that truly runs on automatic day after day, month after month, and year after year. The only way it stops is if the owner goes out of business, the owner doesn't want to renew the contract, or I decide to sell. If none of these things happen, it will be a continuous income that will run on automatic. It's a business that meets the investment system on all points. The only dilemma is finding the location. But what I figured out was just to ask the owners of the businesses I was already doing business with. Everything else consisted of the routine phone calls. I had the ATM Googled. I received the package in the mail. I filled out the forms, including my bank account number, so my funds would be deposited every day. I ordered the machine, set a date for it to be installed, and located a managing company who specializes in managing ATM machines. Again, I've never seen the machine except by photos. I've never seen the location except by photo. The machine does the rest. The money is deposited daily in the account from the managing company, either daily or every 2 weeks, and I just sit back and collect the checks. It's a machine that works on automatic. Example. Another example of my business investment working on automatic without no employees is my hair business. After hearing about women who have their own hair salon in the community, I reached out to them to see if I could invest in wigs, hair that they could stock in their business. This would attract more customers, and their customers would not have to go to other stores to purchase the wigs and bring them to the shop. Once the parties agree, it's a simple process. I will give $2,500 to $5,000 to purchase the product. Every time a wig sells, I receive money to my Cash App. No employees. My appearance is not required, and I continue to make money. Once I receive my full payment, I reinvest. It's a machine that runs on automatic. Example. While incarcerated, I created audio porn. I had done it for the inmates since porn magazines are unauthorized. I invested in studio time, had it mixed, and uploaded to a distribution company. I had a cover created, and that was it. It streamed 50,000 streams a week, and I created an income of $3,000 a month. There were no employees, no advertising, very few sales. I made money off of streaming while I was incarcerated. It was a machine that ran on automatic. With my businesses, I don't expect to get rich. My only goal is to create an income. I believe with all my businesses combined, the multiple income will make me financially stable. With this type of investment system, you will minimize your chances of taking a loss. You will not be consumed by your investment because your presence is not needed. You will recoup your money within 4 to 8 months and your business will run like a machine on automatic. It's a win system. Very little or no overhead. I added this to the investment system because overhead in a business is something you can't sleep on. If overhead costs more than your profit, your business will go out of business. Therefore, overhead must be addressed in order to have a successful investment system. Overhead are business expenses not chargeable to a particular part of the work. Businesses with too much overhead will likely fail. Therefore, with my investment system, I make sure to minimize the overhead as low as possible. Employees can be overhead. Electricity bills could be overhead. Maintenance costs could be overhead, which is why eliminating employees is a huge plus in minimizing your overhead. Since the investment doesn't require your presence, you eliminate gas expense, and since you will recoup your investment within 4 to 8 months, you have eradicated your potential chance of a loss. Example. I've pointed out several examples of my investments and how they meet up to the standards of qualifying for the investment system. The same goes for overhead. With sex sounds, audio porn, there was zero overhead. There were no promotions, no employees. The company received a percentage of each sale and streaming, and the investment was recouped. Example. With the books, the overhead was the initial investment and marketing, but as long as the book continued to sell, the initial investment was recouped. And although I had to pay for marketing, it actually pays to market because marketing yields more sales, which creates a bigger profit. But self-publishing requires no employees, and your presence is only needed at events. Everything else is done online. Example. With the ATM machines, there was no overhead. The machine would pay for itself in 8 months, and the managing company received its payment only when the machine made transactions. This is what we call no overhead. Example. With the investment in wigs, hair, it was still no overhead. The initial investment would be made and recouped in a month or two, and the owner would make money from the additional customers and for actually doing the hair. This investment required no overhead, and it measured up to the requirements of the investment system. With this investment system, it's very hard to lose. I haven't lost on an investment yet, and I believe you will not either. If you hold true to the 4 investment techniques that I've pointed out, any investment that's able to offer all 4 of these techniques is considered a good investment. Third thing you must know. Honesty is the surest way to success. The day at last will come when the dishonest businessman or woman will repent in sorrow and suffering. But no man, woman ever needs to apologize for being honest. Copart. Copart is a huge auction that sells millions of cars all throughout the United States. You can find them at www.copart.com. They have every type of car you can possibly think of, but they differ in what type of damage the vehicle may have. Some have minor damage, such as scratches, damages from a hailstorm, wrecked vehicles, stolen vehicles. Some have good titles, and some have salvage titles. Some are totaled out, and some look like they have nothing wrong with them. The minor the damage, the lower the miles, and the later the model, the higher the bid may be. If it's a car everyone may want, you will likely have to pay more, especially if you are bidding against a car dealer. If you are looking for a certain type of car in a certain year, you go to the filter and locate the cars you may be interested in. If you choose 2019 to 2021 Dodge Challenger RT Scat Pack, it will usually show all the cars they have within that selection. If you don't narrow down the city or state, you will see cars from different cities and different states. You will see cars with front-end damage, rear-end damage, side damages, rollovers, etc., but you will find the car that will interest you. They give you all the information needed to make the best choice for the vehicle you want. Register. In order to register, you will need $200 for unlimited bidding or $50 for bidding on 2 to 4 cars a year. They also require a $600 deposit in case you bid on a car and choose not to pay for it and pick it up. You will also need temporary seller's permit, a business certificate, corporation or LLC, matching address, business, seller permit, identification. Once everything is complete, you begin bidding and you can bid on as many vehicles as you choose. Third-party vehicle inspection. When you can't personally inspect a vehicle, they have a third-party person who will do the inspection for you, for a fee, of course. Since I was incarcerated, I was not able to inspect the vehicle in person. Starting at $119, same-day turnaround, can be ordered up to 24 hours prior to live auction. Available for passenger, commercial, and recreational vehicles. Available for any U.S.-based vehicles. They offer other services. Go to www.copart.com to find out more information. But I pointed out what I believed would be important to your success. I also wanted you to know the charges, fees, and payments you might endure. The charges, fees add up fast. Shift. You can go to www.shift.com and they will tell you how much they will pay you for your car in less than 5 minutes. You will have to fill in the following information: license plate, VIN number, make, model, year, miles, sunroof, engine, seats, is it fully loaded, wrecked, how many owners. They may ask a few more questions. It depends on the vehicle, but after you've filled everything out, the amount they pay will appear. $42,200. They will come to you and buy it and haul it off. Copart and Shift is a huge asset to buying and selling cars. The bottom line, you should make an effort to make a profit every month, even if it takes you 2 to 4 months to fix the car and sell it.